Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my... Hold on. Who are you? Oh, I'm Mark, the new Mark. Your services are no longer required. I'm getting replaced? Yeah. Thanks for all your hard work. Now go hang out with Hilbert in the Elite Trainer Mark retirement home. Hilbert? New trainer art? I'll get my revenge for this! Yeah, whatever. Anyways, this is my recap for Pokémon Horizons Episode 13, A Sudden Picnic. This was the 1245th episode of the Pokémon anime and the start of the next chapter of Horizons. It still is the subtitle Liko and Roy set off, but we're definitely starting something new here. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we know the Rising Voltaglers are headed to Galar. Oh wait, no they're not. Something is wrong with the airship. Molly says they'll get used to this type of thing. The Bravasagi is just an old piece of junk. Orla takes offense to this, calling the airship her pride and joy. We find out that Orla converted the Bravasagi into an airship. She says it used to be Gramps' fishing boat, which I think means Ludlow. They usually call him Gramps. Anyways, it's gonna take at least half a day for the system to reboot and then they can set off. So Free suggests they all go have a picnic. Ludlow jumps in from out of nowhere to volunteer to watch the ship while they're away, and that's our introduction for this episode. Everyone heads out near the coast for their picnic. They're actually just outside of Levincia, which I'll bring up again later. The table is set for the picnic, and I just loved how Freed said all this food came from Murdoch's wild shopping spree. So much for that tight budget they were on. As is customary in Paldea, this picnic is going to be all about sandwich making, and I loved this segment. They really laid it on thick about the artistry and skill behind sandwich making. This was fantastic. Roy goes all out with his ingredients, only for it to turn into a complete mess. Freed reiterates that sandwich making is a test of skill, only for it to be revealed that this idiot sandwich just chucked a ton of meat in between his two slices of bread, demonstrating his, skill. I'll be honest though, most of the sandwiches I eat are just filled with meat and maybe a little bit of cheese, so I stand with Freed on this one. Okay, so as everyone gives Cap a standing ovation for enjoying Freed's sandwich, wow, what a sentence that was. We shift our focus over to Liko, who is reminiscing. The next few minutes of the episode are completely unremarkable. Liko gives us a recap of what's happened in the first 12 episodes of Horizons. I don't know why we needed such an extended recap, but like I was saying at the start of this video, this kind of feels like the beginning of a new chapter in Horizons, so I guess they kind of wanted to reset the story. This was easily the worst part about the episode, but it didn't last for too long, so let's just move on. Sprigatito and Fuecoco start playing around with Rayquaza's Pokeball, and Roy says that they should take a picture together. This seemed so weird to me, but after doing some introspection, I think I am the weird one, because I basically never take pictures of anything in real life. Like, my phone's camera roll legitimately has just 3 pictures on it from the past 365 days. That's it. Okay, moving on from that piece of Elite Trainer Mark trivia, Roy sends the photo to Dot, and this triggers some more flashbacks as we recap Dot's involvement in the story. Blah, blah, blah. Roy goes to feed Fuecoco another sandwich, but oh my, what was that? The culprit is a wild Wattrel who runs off with the sandwich. Roy and Fuecoco give chase while the others watch on. Liko turns her attention back to Dot, and she tells the others that Ludlow and Dot are part of the Rising Voltaglers too. They should enjoy this picnic. And Liko wants Dot to have some fun. Let's check back in with Roy, and it looks like the Wattrel is going to escape with the sandwich. It runs off towards a cliffside, but then it doesn't fly away. Instead, it turns back around to face Roy and Fuecoco. I guess it wants a battle, so here we go. Wattrel let off some kind of sound-based move, I don't know which one, and Roy has Fuecoco counter by singing its heart out right back at it. All the noise is scaring off the nearby wild Pokemon though, so Roy jumps in to stop this screech fest. Fuecoco offers half of the sandwich to Wattrel, who eats it up. Then, it steals the other half of the sandwich right out of Fuecoco's hands, because of course it did. Dejected, Roy and Fuecoco start to walk back, but they notice a flock of Wattrel flying away. This causes Roy to ask the obvious question, why isn't that one flying away with them? Alright, enough about that. Yo Sue, Pokemon trainers, it's Nidothing time, but we're not seeing the completed video. This is actually Dot trying to record a new video, but she's struggling to explain what picnics are all about. She stops recording and admits that she's never been on a picnic herself, which is sad, I guess. I don't know. I've never really been on a picnic either, if I'm being completely honest. Liko sends her a message that Dot should go to the meeting room in order to make some sandwiches, and Dot agrees to go after hearing some of Quaxly's prodding. They head to the meeting room where they're joined by Ludlow. He explains that picnics aren't just about going outside, it's about sharing an experience with others. And since Liko enjoyed her picnic so much, she wanted Dot to share in that enjoyment because she's her friend. Dot is taken aback by this at first, but truthfully she's really happy that Liko would do something like this for her. A little later, Liko gets a message from Dot, but she's shocked at what she sees. Just like Liko and Roy did, Dot takes a picture with Ludlow, Quaxley, and their sandwiches, but Liko is freaking out because Dot is dressed up as Nidothing, and the rest of the crew laughs because that's such a Dot thing to do, not showing her face. Liko continues to freak out, asking why Nidothing would send her a picture, but then our resident idiot realizes that, oh, Dot is just wearing that Nidothing costume. Of course, it's not the real Nidothing. This is when the others realize that Liko is oblivious to the fact that Nidothing is actually Dot, but Murdoch butts in and makes sure Dot's secret is safe for now. Yo, Sue! Alright, now it's time for another Nidothing video, and since Dot is an expert about picnics now, she tells everyone all about them in classic Nidothing fashion. We see that Freed is the one watching this video. Wow, talk about a quick turnaround time. How fast did Dot make that video? Anyways, Murdoch comments on how the kids are all growing up, and Roy finally shows up again, so they all decide to head back to the airship. Along the way, Roy stops because he can't stop thinking about that Watchrow, and so he and Fuecoco run off to go find it again. Freed lets him go, commenting on how Liko and Dot aren't the only kids growing up. Back by the Bravasagi, we see a well-dressed man in his Umbreon, yeah, that's Spinel, and he oversees a group of Magnetons sending electric signals towards the airship. When Freed gets back, he notices that the system reboot isn't even close to being done like they expected it to, and when he calls Dot, she is also experiencing some issues. The system blacks out, and Dot says this could be really bad. She then says the incredibly overdramatic line of, "This ship might never fly again." And that's how the episode comes to an end, with the Bravasagi surrounded by Magneton. Bingo! We have a new bingo card. For those of you who watch my Pokémon Journeys episode reviews, you will remember that I created a game of Elite Trainer Mark Bingo that we played along with throughout the second half of Journeys, and now I have created a new game for Horizons. Nothing to check off so far, but I'll explain more about what each tile means in the pinned comment down below. Let me know what your guesses are, but I think our most likely routes of getting a bingo would either be this diagonal, or the center column, or the fourth row. If you want to take a closer look at this card, just pause the video because I'm going to move on. Okay, now let's talk about this episode. As I've mentioned several times already, this feels like the beginning of a second chapter of Pokémon Horizons. The start of this episode felt very much like a reset, and after watching all those recap flashbacks, I thought I was watching the first true filler episode of Horizons. Then the action started to pick up, and we ended up with a pretty good episode, I thought. Nothing major took place, but we took the first steps in several new directions. First, there's the Roy and Watchrow plot point, and yeah, it seems really obvious that he's going to end up catching this thing. It's got all the telltale signs of a main character capture, the Watchrow that can't fly but is showing signs of its personality, and the main character takes a deep interest in it. We'll get onto the preview in a little bit, but surely this isn't going to end up like that one time May befriended a Swablu only to end up not catching it. Let's not do that again, and I hope Roy does end up catching this Watchrow. Okay, now how about Liko and Dot? Well, Liko still hasn't put the pieces together that Dot is Nidothing. We are continuing to see everyone's favorite Nido-based content creator break out of her shell. She's coming out of her room, talking to people face to face, and even messaging back and forth with Liko like, well, I was gonna say like a normal person, but normal friends usually don't dress up in Pokemon costumes before sending pictures to each other, or do they? Then let's talk about Spinel. I don't know if he caused the initial problem that the Bravasagi was having at the start of this episode. I'm guessing he did, but he's definitely the one keeping them in Paldea for the time being. Again, we'll get to the preview soon enough, but his plan to get Liko's pendant is a lot more complicated and cerebral than Amethio's was, so we'll see if it works out. All in all, another nice episode of Pokemon Horizons. I'm giving this episode a 6 out of 10 rating. And that's higher than I thought I was going to rate it initially. The second half of the episode was really when things picked up. I don't have a natural point in the discussion to talk about this, so excuse the awkward transition as I want to briefly touch on the production side of things. For most of Pokemon Journeys, there were obvious production issues holding that series back. These types of things are always pretty well hidden under the surface and go unnoticed by most casual fans. Pokemon Horizons seems to be falling victim to similar production issues, and this episode was one such example. Coming off the back of a 2-week break, this episode used lots of flashbacks, and even a lot of the new material just ended up being static shots with less action. The animation team was pretty much completely outsourced as well, which isn't ideal. I am by no means an expert when it comes to the production of the Pokemon anime, so I can't really go into much more detail than that. I just wanted to mention that it looks like the series is going to experience some of the same issues that Journeys had, but thankfully this hasn't really affected my enjoyment of the series, at least not so far. And now for another non sequitur, the anime released a new key visual, or basically just a poster that's hyping up what's to come in Journeys. We saw in this episode that the Rising Bull Tacklers are near Levincia, and I guess that's how Iono is going to find herself getting involved in the story somehow. Also, Kabu is there, which means that whenever the Rising Voltaglers do make it to Galar, he's going to show up at some point. And if he's got his Centiskorch with him, that could mean we get to see some Gigantamax action, maybe in a battle against Roy. I also found it interesting that Dot was in the middle of this key visual, once again giving me hope that she's going to become a main character on the same level as Liko and Roy. But after going all of Journeys wishing the same thing was going to happen with Chloe, I'm not holding my breath on this one. Quick mention of a Methio being on this key visual, there's no sign of Spinel, so I wonder how long it'll be until a Methio shows back up. And the last thing to note is Freed holding a Terra Orb, and this takes us to the preview for the next episode, which is going to continue where this last one left off. I feel pretty confident in saying that Roy is going to befriend that Watchel and end up catching it, but the more interesting development is going to be Freed getting isolated and attacked by Spinel. This is when he'll bust out the Terra Orb. Will that be enough to save him, or will Iono have to get involved and save the day? That would be pretty funny if she came to Freed's rescue. Let me know what you think will happen down in the comments, and I did want to give a special thank you to Glazed for my old trainer art. I used that image for like 2 years and made a lot of Elite Trainer Mark history with that. But now, shout out to Legacy for making my new trainer art. You can find a link to his Twitter in the description, where you can check out some of his other art or commission him to make something for you. And feel free to leave your guesses about what secret you think I'm keeping inside this Premier Ball that I'm wearing. Well, I guess I'm doing channel updates now, so I actually wanted to plug my Twitch channel because I'm going to start streaming sometime soon. I really want to try a Nuzlocke for the first time in my life, so I thought it would be a lot of fun to stream myself attempting to Pokemon Ruby Nuzlocke until I beat it. I think I plan on going live for the first time sometime Sunday afternoon for me, so make sure you check the link in the description of this video and go to my Twitch channel and hit that follow button. That way you'll know if and when I do go live. Thank you all so much for watching this video. It's good to be back making episode reviews of Pokemon Horizons. I feel like I needed a little bit of a refresh when it comes to Elite Trainer Mark, and now I'm ready to see what happens next. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.